Meghan Markle hater Brooke Shields thought it would be cute to show up at the 2025 Tony Awards tonight in this little number after she ran her mouth about her Duchess.
Well, I hope she doesn't think I'm rude. I'm not being rude.
Spoiler alert, she was being rude, and I will play the whole clip in its entirety in a moment. Brooke Shields went on a random podcast recently and thought she would enlighten us fans about how it would be cute of her to completely shit on what Meghan Markle was saying at a panel titled Breaking Barriers, Shaping Narratives, How Women Lead On and Off the Screen. The Duchess of Sussex was talking about how at just 11 years young, she had a social awareness that many of us did not have, I certainly didn't, where she saw a commercial that was inherently very sexist, wrote to the company, and had such an impact just by, in her words, putting pen to paper, that they changed the whole damn commercial. At 11 years young. That's when Miss Red Dress over here was seemingly bothered, in my opinion, that Duchess Meghan Markle was captivating said audience. That's when she decided to take away from her spotlight and put it on her. And this is what Chick had to say on some random, like I said, podcast.
I don't know if I'm going to get hated, but I get a call from Katie Couric, and she's doing South by Southwest. It's Katie Couric, Meghan Markle, and a doctor, and Katie asks me to be a part of it. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. You know what? Just do it. Just go talk about what you need to. We get there, Katie asks the first question to Meghan and talks about how, at a young age, she was already advocating for women, etc. So she starts talking and telling a story about how when she was 11, and she keeps saying, well, when I was 11, I saw this commercial and they were talking about washing dishes, and only soap for washing dishes was for women. And she said, I didn't think only women wash dishes. It wasn't fair. So I wrote to the company. And when I was 11, I wrote my first letter, and then I was 11, and she kept saying she was 11. So she writes to the company, they change the text, they change the commercial. And I go, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Guys, just interrupt you there for 1 minute. I was trying not to be rude, but I wanted to be funny because it was so serious. And I go, I just want to give everybody here a context as to how we're different. I said, well, when I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. The place went insane. And then luckily, it was more relaxed after that. And I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't think I'm rude. I'm not being rude. Sort of.
I think it's genius.
It was just too precious. And I was like, they're not going to want to sit here for 45 minutes and listen to anybody be precious.
First of all, couldn't take her any longer to get her damn point across. Second of all, this is a classic case of women not supporting women. I've said it before and I will say it again, it's always women that hate women the most. It's like, I don't get it. Not all, but many. Now, I don't know if it's the actress/narcissism in this woman. I'm not saying she's a narcissist, but it comes off very much so. Why would you want to take away from what Meghan Markle is saying? That's certainly why Katie Couric asked her to be on this panel. Just as she asked you, babe. Also, I don't want to point fingers or anything or make any accusatory, assumptions. But sis was slurring on that podcast. And there's a glass of something in front of her. I don't know if she was a little tipsy, having a cocktail or whatever. I don't know. Allegedly, I don't know. But you know what they say. Drunken words are a sober man's thoughts. Or in this case, a sober chick's thoughts. Makes sense why Brooke Shields would be jealous of this.
Let's talk about what really happened at South by Southwest. Because, this wasn't just another celebrity panel or a casual joke gone sideways. This was honestly a textbook example of how women who dare to be serious, sincere, and unapologetically powerful are still treated with suspicion, even by other women. Meghan Markle took to that stage not to make a spectacle of herself or to pander for applause. She showed up to share a piece of her personal history, a story that, for years, has inspired young girls, students, and advocates alike. At just 11 years old, she saw a sexist commercial suggesting dishwashing was a woman's job. She didn't shrug it off. She didn't let it go. She picked up a pen and wrote a letter. Actually, she wrote several. And she made a difference. Procter & Gamble changed the ad. It was a quiet but powerful win, not just for her, but for every girl who's ever been told to sit down, be polite, and not challenge the way things are. Now, if you think that kind of story is too precious, then maybe you've forgotten what real activism looks like. It doesn't always wear a suit or carry a mic. Sometimes it looks like a child paying attention, thinking critically, and refusing to accept inequality as the norm. At South by Southwest, Meghan brought that same story to the table again. Not to brag, not to center herself, but to remind people, especially young women, that they have power, that their voices matter, that it's okay to challenge the narrative. And then came Brooke Shields. A woman who knows the pain of being overexposed, sexualized, and commodified as a child. A woman who could have responded with solidarity or insight. Instead, she interrupted. She took a moment of thoughtful reflection and spun it into a punchline. When I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. Laughter followed. But not the good kind. Not the cathartic, honest kind. The kind that stings. Because what that line really did was undercut Meghan. It mocked her sincerity. It framed activism as something corny. It sent the message, if you're going to talk about serious things, we'll laugh at you. Let's be clear, that wasn't comedy. That was discomfort wrapped in sarcasm. Meghan didn't retaliate. She didn't even flinch. She let the moment pass. That's grace. That's control. That's someone who's used to people trying to dim her light. And still, she shines. The conversation was posted online by India Hicks, who likely thought it was funny or provocative or worth sharing. But when the backlash hit, when people started saying, hey, this isn't right, she deleted the clip. No explanation, no accountability, just silence. But silence is a statement, and in this case, it told us everything. This isn't about one snide comment or a single deleted video. This is about how women like Meghan are treated when they're unapologetically smart, serious, and proud of their stories. This is about how some people, especially those used to being the center of attention, feel threatened by a woman who commands respect without demanding it, a woman who doesn't have to perform pain or make herself smaller to be heard. What Brooke Shields did on that stage wasn't just a bad joke. It was a dismissal of something real and powerful. And honestly, it's not new. Women who dare to be vocal, unfiltered, and self-assured are so often called too much, too emotional, or yes, too precious. But let's call it what it really is. An attempt to shut them down, to take the sting out of truth by calling it sentimental. Meghan has never claimed to be perfect, but she has always spoken up for women, for girls, for communities under pressure. She's done it with consistency, even while being relentlessly attacked by tabloids, commentators, and yes, sometimes even her own colleagues in media and entertainment. What's maddening is that Meghan did what we always tell young women to do, speak up. And when she did, she was belittled for it. She didn't cry victim, she didn't clap back on social media, she stayed in her lane and let the story speak for itself. That is power. And let's be real, this world has no idea what to do with women who refuse to laugh at themselves just to make others feel better. Meghan's the kind of woman who says, no, I meant that, I believe in that. And that's scary to people who thrive on sarcasm, deflection, and passive aggression. Brooke had an opportunity to say, you know what, that's incredible, I didn't have that kind of voice at 11. She could have used the contrast to start a deeper conversation about how different our experiences can be, and how that shapes our sense of agency. Instead, she chose competition over connection. And that's the real shame. Because this moment wasn't just about a joke, it was a window into how society treats women who take themselves seriously. Meghan's story wasn't too precious, it was powerful, it was important, and it deserved respect. So yes, this is a defense. This is standing up for a woman who stood up for herself when she was barely old enough to vote, let alone deal with international scrutiny. This is saying, enough with the mockery, enough with the dismissal, enough with laughing at women who care too deeply, speak too clearly, or lead too boldly. Because in that room, Meghan didn't just tell a story, she held up a mirror. And it turns out not everyone liked what they saw in it. And now we've got Brooke Shields stepping into the conversation, offering up opinions on Meghan Markle like she's some kind of authority on grace under pressure. Let's be honest here. Brooke, you've had your own journey. No one's denying that. But to throw shade at Meghan, a woman who has been relentlessly attacked by the press, by the public, by her own in-laws, it's giving out of touch. It's giving unnecessary commentary. Meghan has done nothing but speak her truth. She's stood firm in the face of global scrutiny, racism, and the suffocating expectations of a monarchy that wasn't ready for a woman like her. And instead of support, she gets thinly veiled jabs from someone who should know better. Let's not forget, Meghan didn't ask to be a symbol. She didn't ask to carry the burden of being the first biracial woman to enter that institution, but she handled it with poise, with clarity, with integrity, and when she finally said enough is enough and walked away, that was power. So when someone like Brooke Shields, who should understand how harsh public life can be, especially as a woman, is out here trying to minimize or critique Meghan's journey, we have to call it out. Because this isn't about disagreeing. This is about dismissing the lived experience of a woman who chose to survive rather than crumble. Let's give Meghan the credit she deserves for refusing to be silenced, for protecting her peace, for protecting her family, and for standing in her truth, even when it wasn't convenient for the royal narrative. That's strength, that's courage, and that's what should be applauded, not side commentary from the sidelines. But let's get real for a moment. Brooke Shields of all people should know better. She's walked red carpets, she's faced the tabloid frenzy, she's been on the receiving end of 1,000 headlines, some fair, most not. So when she chooses to join the chorus of criticism instead of compassion, it's not just disappointing, it's hypocritical. Public figures like Brooke have a powerful platform. They can choose to amplify empathy, to show solidarity, to remind the world that women in the spotlight are human beings first. Instead, when they pile on, they give permission for more judgment, more cruelty, more noise. It's a missed opportunity, and it perpetuates the very cycles of scrutiny that have hurt so many women before. Imagine if, instead of tearing down, Brooke had stood up for Meghan. Imagine the message that would send, that women support women, especially when the world is watching. That's the kind of leadership we need. That's the kind of legacy worth leaving. Because in the end, it costs nothing to show empathy. But it means everything. So let's be clear. Real power is using your voice to lift others up, not push them down. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we all expect more from those who know exactly what it feels like to be on the receiving end of the world's glare.